Hello, I'm Sienna Bowes, and welcome to my channel, Learning Builds Life. And today we're going to learn how to find quick factors for some special quadratic polynomials. I know it's quad, but quad is actually the short form of quadratic. We have written quad because you can see there's a lack of space over here. So, without further ado, let us start factorizing. But first, I have a small appeal. Please watch this video throughout the end because this may be useful for all skilled students, especially for those from 9 to 12. So now we can move on to factorizing. Our first polynomial to factorize is 63x squared minus 32x minus 63. Now, can you notice something in this polynomial? Yes, the first coefficient, or the coefficient of the x squared term, is equal to the constant, 63. So this kind of polynomial is a totally different method, which is totally not similar to the ones you learned in the previous 3 episodes. We can move on to factorizing, but first we need to find two co-prime pairs. Made 63 has two co-prime pairs of factors. So we need to find which one is useful, means which can be used, which is suitable. So the two pairs of co-prime factors are 7 and 9. And another pair we're going to talk about, 63 and 1. But which one to choose? Which one? Whether 7 and 9 or 63 and 1? How to choose that? The way is, we need to check whether 9 squared minus 7 squared or 63 squared minus 1 squared can give us this 32, which is the coefficient of the linear or middle term. So in this case, we have 81 minus 32. It's 49. I made a mistake. 49. This gives us 32, which is the coefficient of the linear or middle term. But here, in any case, it can't give us 32 because, anyway, I don't even need to calculate 63 squared. It's 60 squared itself is 3600, minus 1 can never give us even a near-about answer to 32, so this pair is totally rejected. We have to take in 7 and 9 as a pair. Now, factorizing does not depend on sign, means it almost depends on something else, means the sign matter comes later. The first thing to do is to open two vacant brackets, like this. Leave some space, obviously. Now, we write something, which I'm going to tell you why. Means not why, but we write like that. First we write 7x and leave a little space and write 9. Because we need the space because of putting a sign. And in the next bracket, write the other way around. Write 9x, leave some space for the sign, and write 7. Now, how to determine which one has the sign? Now, we have a negative sign from the coefficient, which tells us that the bigger number, 9, should have the same sign, negative. So, obviously, 7 has the positive sign. So, we can factorize this kind of polynomial into 7x minus 9, the whole, into 9x plus 7, the whole. Wasn't that interesting or intriguing? We can move on to factorize our next polynomial. Our next polynomial is 39x squared plus 160x minus 39. Now again the same thing. We need to find the pair of co-prime factors which can help us to factorize this. So the two pairs are 13 and 3. And 3, and another pair, 39 and 1. So we can verify which one in the same way. It does 13 squared minus 3 squared gives 169 minus 9, that's 160. Now we can only have one pair, so obviously this pair is rejected, and we have to take in this pair. Since this gives us 160, which has the coefficient of linear or middle term, now we can factorize. So the first thing, we need to open two vacant brackets. The second thing to do is the numbers we got are 30 and 3. In the first bracket, write 13x and leave some space for the sign and write 3. And in the other bracket, write the other way around, 3x and write 13, leaving some space for the sign. Now, how to determine the sign, we already saw that. The positive sign goes in this bigger number. This means the same sign goes to the bigger number, and obviously the opposite sign to the smaller number. So this polynomial was factorized into 13x minus 3 the whole into 3x plus 13 the whole. Our next polynomial is 25x squared minus 624x minus 25. The same way, but here 25 can only have one pair. That is 25 and 1. So even though it has one pair, we can still check for practice. 25 squared minus 1 squared, which is 625, minus 1 gives us 624, which is the coefficient of the linear or middle term. See. We can factorize this in the same way. We have 25 and 1, isn't it? So first we write 25x, leaving some space, we write 1. And for the sign, we need to leave some space. It's no matter if you leave a lot of space or a little space, depending on the size of the sign you write. And in the second bracket, we can write x, leave some space, and write 25. The space is for the sign again. Now the sign. The negative sign, or the negative sign, goes to the bigger number. See, the bigger number always gets the same sign as in front of the linear or middle term, and accordingly the opposite sign goes in front of 1, the smaller number. Our next polynomial is 25x squared plus 12x minus 37. Now, this is not the same type of polynomial we were doing for the first three. This is different. This has a different method. So, in this polynomial, we need to substitute a value for x, which at most can give us 0. It means the least possible value of x, which can give us 0. Our first value, obviously, we need to take is 1. So if we take the value of x as 1, or we substitute x for 1, then you get 25, 1 squared, into 1. This is actually into. Okay, I'm just writing it one more time so that you don't have confusions. 25 into 1 squared. I'm writing in bracket, though I know it's unnecessary still. I'm writing the bracket. Plus 12 into 1. I'm writing in bracket just to highlight that we have substituted the value. Here also I'm writing in bracket just to highlight that we have substituted the value of x. And we have to write minus 37. Right, this is always 25, that you can do it. 25 plus 12 minus 37. Now I have a tip. First add all the numbers with the same sign, then it becomes easier. So we have two numbers here with the positive sign. We add those and get 37 minus 37. It gives us 0. So we can take the value of x as 1. That helps us to factorize and get our first factor for this polynomial as x minus 1. Now, no need to go deep into finding the cause why it's x minus 1, but since we have got 1, means if the value would have been minus 1, if we would have taken minus 1, then it would have been x plus 1. But since we have only 1, hence we have taken x minus 1. So x minus 1 is one of the factors we need to take. And by adjustments, we need to get our second factor for this polynomial. So how to find the second factor? The first thing is 25x, because on multiplication of 25x and x we get 25x squared, which is the first term in this polynomial. And we will skip this linear or middle term, and we finally move on to the constant. We have a negative sign in front of 1, so we write plus 37. Just for adjustment, since plus 37 into minus 1 on multiplication gives us minus 37, which is a constant with the sign in the polynomial. This polynomial can be factorized into x minus 1 the whole into 25x plus 37 the whole. Our next polynomial. So we factorize our last and next to this one, which is 29x squared minus 16x minus 13. Now I have shifted from black to blue because my black pen was having a bit of a problem. So we have moved on to blue for a few days now. So please manage with this color. I hope you can see it. It's 29x squared minus 16x minus 13. The same way can follow the same way we followed here. We need to substitute a value for x, which can give us 0. Means if we substitute after solving that, if it gets zeros, then if it gives us 0, then we can use that in the way I'm showing you now itself. Same thing, 29 into 1 squared minus 16 into 1, in bracket again because of highlighting that you know, minus 13. We solve this and we get 29 minus 16 minus 30. Now we have only one positive, so we only take up the negatives, and we take the minus common. Means if you want to see the steps I'm showing you, we take the negative sign common, and we're left with 16 plus 13 in the bracket. Now we have 29, and we add this inside the bracket to get 29 again, and this gives us 0. So ultimately we got 0 by substituting 1, the value 1 for the variable x, and we can use x minus 1. So our first factor is already derived. It's x minus 1. Now, very well, by adjustments, we can get our next factor, and that's so easy. The first thing is 29x, because 29 on multiplication of 29x into x, it gives us 29x squared, which is the first term of this polynomial. And our second adjustment happens with the constant, and we skip up the linear or middle term. So our 13 is the next thing, and we have plus 13 as the constant. Since on multiplication of plus 13 into minus 1, it gives us minus 13, which is the constant with the sign in this polynomial. Now I have a sum for you all. It is 17x squared, minus 288x minus 17. And I have another sum for you, which is 15x squared minus 7x minus 8. I'm giving you all a few moments to copy these two sums. This is a separate sum I'm telling. This is number 1 and this is number 2. Please write the answers of these two, write the factorizations of these two polynomials in the comment section below. And please like, share, and subscribe my channel. Thank you. In the next blog, we will discuss on episode 5, which is quick factors of cubic polynomials. Please subscribe our channel and press the bell button.